Welcome back to the channel. We have more huge XRP news. We actually have two pieces today. This article is titled Ripple CEO to testify before Senate on digital asset regulation. This is all about the banks. All about the banks. The banking domination has already begun. That's why they're entertaining the idea of becoming a bank. The banks have been crying out for the technology. Ripple, all of their representatives have been extremely happy, have they not? And it's not just about regulations changing. That's changing as well. That's good as well. But you know what makes them happier? Partnerships. Moving forward. There's been a lot of forward movement. And we're not even past the last few hurdles that we need to get past. There's just a few more, some minor ones. But you see the progress happening. Anyway, this little tidbit begins here. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse is set to testify before the U.S. Senate Banking Committee on July the 9th, 2025. So you don't have to wait long. It's happening tomorrow. The hearing, titled From Wall Street to Web3, they're going to dominate. We've already read articles from the professionals that say Wall Street is waiting to get in. That's another wave of capital. That's going to be very interesting. Then on top of that, keep in mind that Ripple has spoken about RWA before everyone else. That's what I saw. They spoke about it first, then BlackRock starts speaking about it, then everyone else. So if they go heavy with RWA in the future, which I predict is going to be another explosion in XRP's price, and everything is tokenized, everything, then we're going to be receiving a lot of value into the Bankcoin family from Wall Street. But do your own research on that, not financial advice. Now, but continuing on, so it is titled From Wall Street to Web3. We'll focus on the future of digital asset markets and the need for clear regulatory frameworks. Garlinghouse's testimony is part of a broader effort to advocate for the passage of constructive crypto market structure legislation in the U.S. He aims to explain how such legislation can usher in a new era of innovation in the digital asset space. Garlinghouse has expressed gratitude to Senators Tim Scott, Ruben Gallego, and Cynthia Lummis, who are leaders of the newly created subcommittee on digital assets. Here's something I was thinking about in the video yesterday that I neglected to mention. A lot of these crypto companies, they have lots of capital. They're gaining a lot of power. What do you do when you're a company and you have lots of capital and you want things to go your way? What was Ripple doing in the past? They were one of the biggest. This is during the bloody bear market. They were one of the biggest. What do you call those people when they pay money to politicians so the politicians will listen to what they have to say? Lobbying. They were one of the biggest lobbyists in crypto. That gray hair right there really it's like a thorn in my brain because it looks like something's on my nose, but it's actually gray hair. Let me straighten it out and then I'll blend it in with the rest of the black hairs for a little bit. Right. So I'm still getting used to that, folks. Hold on. Bear with me. I'm getting used to it. But anyway, if they were one of the biggest lobbyists back then, what do you think they're doing now? So there's no doubt about it. You think they stopped that? No. Listen, so they're constantly probably making contact with these politicians and getting them in their pocket. Right now is very easy because these politicians are looking for alternative ways to line their pockets, for lack of a better word. I mean, no disrespect, but that's the way that the game is played. Whoever has the most money, they lend their ear to them. So increasingly, because of that, you're going to be seeing things happen positively, not only for Ripple, but for the rest of crypto. Mainly the Bankcoin companies. They're the serious companies. Let's just be real. But let's continue on this little tidbit here. It says, this will be his first formal testimony before the Senate Banking Committee. The hearing is expected to address key issues such as the classification of digital assets as securities versus commodities, regulatory jurisdiction between the SEC to CFTC, and the creation of new registration regimes for brokers and exchanges and custodians. I think over this next year, you're going to see a lot of things go very quickly when it comes to this type of activity. You already see that the mentalities that are running everything have changed. They're leaning positively towards crypto. And if that is the case, then maybe we should start reconsidering how fast some of these explosions in price are going to be occurring. So then it continues on here. It says the Senate Banking Committee has confirmed that several bills, including the Clarity Act and the anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act and the Genius Act will be considered during the week of July 14th. So there's some more activity for you to put on your calendar. These bills are part of an intense lobbying effort by various cryptocurrency agencies aimed at passing legislation that provides regulatory clarity for digital asset markets. In addition to Garlinghouse, other notable figures set to testify during the hearing include Chain Analysis CEO Jonathan Levin, Blockchain Association CEO Summer Mersinger, and Harvard policy expert Tim Masad. Harvard did some good work during the bloody bear market to clarify a lot of things that we found to be true about crypto. So I like Harvard because of that. It says Garlinghouse testimony is significant as it comes at a time when the cryptocurrency industry is seeking greater regulatory clarity. The passage of market, they're going to get it. They're going to get it. The banks need it right now. And the world is ripe for it. Too much fragmentation. They said it themselves. Too much siloing. We literally read that from one of their people quoting that. There's a lot of siloing going on. We read that a little while ago. They need something to connect it all together. And then let's not forget liquidity. Remember they used to say that? Then they got quiet on it. Well, things didn't change. It got worse. So they definitely need liquidity. And only the bank coins can scrape up that liquidity, these liquidity tokens, in ways that the legacy system couldn't fathom. They cannot do it in that particular way. It says here, Ripple's testimony represents a pivotal moment for industry regulations. The outcomes may set precedents for integrating digital assets within existing financial systems, including future crypto innovations. Industry experts remain attentive to the potential implications on technological and regulatory landscapes. All right, so we'll wait to see what comes out of that, see and hear what is said. There could be some massive things released or said during that time, during this activity. So be on the lookout for it. All right. And I will as well. So now this next article right here, more forward momentum for the XRPL. This article is titled XRP News. Garlinghouse announces RLUSD stablecoin collateral deal with Hidden Road. All right. So this one begins here. It says, at a recent conference in Singapore, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse announced that Ripple stablecoin RLUSD will now be accepted as collateral for all services at Hidden Road. Well, hold on. Let's extrapolate a little bit there. Wait a minute. Think about this for a moment. And this is how you know XRP is going to be huge and backing RLUSD. Once again, when it comes to stable coins, other companies have had traditional assets backing their stable coins. When there was a bank run, when there was contagion, when stable coins were becoming depegged, did it help at that time backing them with those assets? No, it did not. No, it didn't. Look at the structure of Circle and USDC. Did it help? No, it didn't help. All right. So what can help? What provides enough liquidity at any time, at any given time, especially in the future, that could support such a structure that now the ECB and the BIS are calling unsound money, even though the ECB and other banks are going to use stablecoins anyway, because they literally have to. That's why they're going to do it. They have no choice, folks. They're going to. They have to. But even though they're calling it, look this up. I'm not just saying this. They're calling it unsound money. Right? BIS has coined that phrase. They've used it so much. You're going to need something to back this. So what do you use other than a liquidity token, XRP, to back this? This is why they're so bullish on XRP at Ripple itself. Every time they talk about it, they talk about how it's the best. It's at the core. They have to come out every once in a while. They're trying to let the people know because they know. So now, once again, it says Ripple stablecoin RLUSD will now be accepted as collateral. But once again, how do you trust any stablecoin when they're not stable? The only way is because it's backed by something that can generate so much liquidity that at points in the future where there will be instability, you don't have to worry about it. Your stablecoin does not have to worry about it, whereas others probably will. They probably will, unless they take a similar structure to what Ripple is going to be doing. In my humble opinion, you can disagree with that, but that's how I look at that. This is going to be huge. So every single time you see this RLUSD, and once again, in my humble opinion, I believe when I see it, I look at it and I see XRP. I see XRP pushing something forward, more utility for XRP. And this is why I can't remember the document we read. It was in the last 3 or 4 videos, and they were talking about liquidity enhancements with XRP. Remember that? The videos are still there. The articles are still there. Some sort of liquidity, expanding the capability of building liquidity and more companies or something like that being able to utilize the liquidity of XRP. I'm all for it. Do it. If it's going to bring more value in, it's going to help that price explode, so be it. But we shall see. It's what they say. We have to wait to see them do it. It's one thing for someone to say something. There's another for them to prove themselves and actually take that action. I like to see that action. So I do acknowledge that. It's just what they're saying. OK. All right. And so because of that, it doesn't mean you have to believe what someone is saying. But we do take it into account. That's part of research. And then as we take it into account and then we start to observe if they're going to actuate on that or not, then we know in the future if what they say holds any weight. That makes sense? They acted upon it. Now we can, I won't say trust. I don't really like to use that word. But because they actuated upon that, now we're just a little bit more firm that when they say something, we can take them seriously. So, but when it comes to Ripple, for years now, we've been doing this for some time. They've kept their word along the way. They definitely have. So that's interesting. It continues on here. It says Ripple stablecoin as collateral. Ripple's focus on high friction payment routes is the central idea of this integration, as it now allows the institutional players to engage in real-time trading across asset classes with improved capital efficiency. Bear with me one moment. I don't know why this web page is giving me a problem. It won't scroll down. Oh, there we go. There we go. And it's doing it again. Let me read just a little tidbit here, but I don't know what's going on today. It says why Garlinghouse initiated RLUSD stablecoin. Okay, so we know all of that. But now let's move into this. Look at this here. All right, we're going to move on to a little bit of Bitcoin news. See, we get into the Bitcoin news a little bit earlier today. So now, if this article will pop up, Bitcoin is looking extremely good right now. We have a lot of activity from a lot of big companies. That's why I'm telling people, watch what's going on. It becomes more bullish by the day. Is it going to remain bullish forever? I don't think so. It's going at some point, things will have their corrections. It's the same thing with the bank coins. These different explosions don't have to happen back to back to back to back. But I do anticipate them to happen. However, there could be you could have your dips and your corrections. Sure. Do I believe it's going to be permanent? No. But you still have to be prepared. But only you would know how prepared you're going to be and what you're willing to do and what you want to do, because you know how much you put in. You know what value you're willing to risk, etc. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm just speaking logically, I believe. This article is titled Real Estate Firm Murano to Build Bitcoin Treasury with $500 million equity deal. You see, you just give it a couple of days. Every few days, something big is coming out about someone who's dealing with Bitcoin. This little tidbit here says this. Murano Global Investments, a NASDAQ listed real estate firm that owns hotels across Mexico, said it's building a Bitcoin BTC treasury strategy and mulls ways to integrate the largest cryptocurrency into its operations. The $800 million market cap company slipped a bit more than 1% in trading Monday after announcing the news. The firm has entered into a standby equity purchase agreement, SEPA, worth up to $500 million, with plans to use the proceedings, quote, primarily, unquote, to invest in Bitcoin, according to a press release. The company said it will continue to operate its hotels and real estate development businesses while exploring initiatives such as allowing guests to pay in BTC or earn loyalty rewards denominated in it. Quote, we see Bitcoin as a transformative asset that not only offers long-term growth potential, but also strengthens our balance sheet against inflation and systemic risk, unquote, said Elias Sakal, chairman and CEO of the company. The firm's announcement comes on the heels of joining the Bitcoin-focused industry alliance, quote, Bitcoin for Corporations, led by Michael Saylor's strategy and BTC Inc., Murano has also recently purchased 21 BTC as a treasury asset worth over $2.1 million at current prices. Everything is looking good in Bitcoin's neighborhood as far as I am concerned. Keep your eye on the companies. It's going to tell you a lot. They are the major movers and shakers now. They're getting into the driver's seat. They're pretty much in the driver's seat. It's going to tell you that price goes up or down. Are they buying? Are they selling? Are they collecting Bitcoin? What are their plans for Bitcoin for the future? I think those are just some very important introductory questions to ask oneself when dealing with these particular type of assets. So now, let's go here. I'm going to squeeze in and we're going to end off with a little bit of gold news. If this article, once again, will pop up here. Bad signal down here today. I'm not sure why. Now, this article is titled, Gold Could See a Retest of $3,000 as $4,000 looks out of reach. This is coming from Bloomberg's McGlones, this person's humble opinion, all right? It says, despite some selling pressure, gold continues to hold critical support above $3,300 an ounce. Looks amazing in my humble opinion. However, according to one analyst, the path of least resistance may be lower as equity markets gain new momentum. Although optimism is growing that gold could reach $4,000 an ounce, we've heard a lot of big companies predict such. It says Mike McGlone, senior commodity strategist at Bloomberg Intelligence, said the market still appears overbought. I don't know why this. Okay, maybe he'll elaborate on it, but I disagree, but that doesn't mean that he is incorrect. It says he added that a new catalyst is needed to support another leg up in the current bull run. New catalyst. There's so much geopolitical tension. I don't know why. Well, okay, let's continue on here. Yeah, I don't know why he would say that. It says, and the central banks are what's propping that price up. High value individuals. The catalyst is not being, the major catalyst is not being talked about. The major catalyst is the problem and the fragility of the legacy financial system, which is causing everyone to protect their value with gold. Although it's just not being spoken about outright. People just see, oh, central bank buying, but why are they buying? High value individuals are buying, but why are they buying? They just take what the superficial aspect, the central bank, the high value individuals, the businesses, they just take them as the catalyst, not seeing that there is something that's motivating them. And I think that's more important. But let's continue on here. McGlone noted that there is a rising risk that gold prices could retest support at $3,000. Is it possible? Yes. Would I be concerned? Absolutely not. Gold still looks great at $3,000. You want to be honest? For those who got in early enough, a long time ago. It says $3,000 an ounce if equity markets continue to strengthen. Quote, a top candidate. But once again, I acknowledge that someone may feel differently than I do. OK, I know that. I don't speak for everyone. I only speak for myself. It says, quote, a top candidate is relative weakness in the U.S. stock market. The metal's nearly 60% premium to its 60-month moving average was last matched in 2011 when gold peaked around $1,900 after climbing from its 1999 low near $250. That rally was underpinned by gold rising from a low plateau relative to the S&P 500, unquote, he said. Wait, let me scroll down. It says, in addition to new momentum in equity markets as the S&P 500 continues to trade at record highs, McGlone said that gold now faces renewed competition from rising bond yields. Quote, if U.S. Treasury 30-year yield remains above 5%, coupled with resilient equities, gold could face pressure toward $3,000, unquote, he said. Quote, whether it's gold prices or Treasury yields that are too high, the current imbalance appears unsustainable. All right, so we will see. We shall see. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. I got to go run and do some business now, folks. I hope you're having a great evening by the time this video is released. I hope you had a fantastic day. So now that you have the information, what are you going to be doing? What are you going to be doing with it? What are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.